kept pushing on, but then you went too far. When your ship has sailed and all your dreams are lost, everything is wrong, you feel like it's your fault. Just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just hold me. Just hold me. Just hold me. You're stronger now than you ever been. You gotta leave now, it's time to catch the wind. You will climb up high and look through the clouds, and when you're feeling low, I know you'll bounce back. Oh, and just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just call me. Just call me. Just call me. Just call me.
It is one of the oldest and most legendary circuits here on the Cup Series schedule, and next year it will return to it, but for tonight it will be the host of round number 11, the Garza law firm WJM Throwback here at North Wilkesboro Speedway. Good evening, everybody. My name is Frank Marchese. Thank you very much for making us a part of your evening. Alongside me, my broadcast partner, Zach Woods. Zach, great race at Homestead last week. We come to a vastly different track here at North Wilkesboro this week for a wonderful throwback race. It's nice to see somebody somewhere other than Darlington get one of these throwback races.
And I couldn't think of a more fitting track, Frank, other than North Wilkesboro to get these throwback races here. And yes, I'm very excited for this field to kind of tackle this track. It is a different car to track combination that we have the privilege of watching, and I feel like we're looking into the future, Frank. We're privy to some hidden information about what will be on the real life circuit coming very shortly to us. But tonight we're going to enjoy SCL taking on North Wilkesboro.
Yep, all-star race next season for the NASCAR Cup Series, coming here to North Wilkesboro in its return to the NASCAR schedule since 1996. Would have been the last event held at this racetrack. But tonight, again, for the SCL Winston Cup Series, round 11 of the season, the championship is getting tight. Maxwell Caldwell, after that race at Homestead last week, still has a lead, but it is coming down a little bit from where it has been, just 83 points, as Braxton DeWeese, after his win last week at Homestead-Miami Speedway, now up into that second spot in points.
And we were treated to a thriller last week. You missed some great action here in the booth, and but ultimately it was a test of attrition from a lot of drivers, and that's one thing that's going to carry over to tonight, I feel, at North Wilkesboro. Again, a driver's racetrack, this track tends to be, but with the next-gen combination, I think we're going to be in for a little bit of everything, much like we are every week with SCL.
Yeah, but we got a lot of guys here tonight filling up this half-mile racetrack as we're about to jump over into the qualifying session here in the not-so-distant future. 29 drivers are currently here tonight to try to take home this round 11 win. Now, again, there are only a couple more races to go. Another short track coming up next week, Martinsville. 225 lap races, the longest of the season thus far, excluding the World 600 at Charlotte back in round 5, and Gateway for that matter just a couple of weeks ago. But to get you into that short track mode coming here to Wilkesboro might be a very good test session for Martinsville, even though the racetracks are very different.
Yeah, it kind of feels like a worldwide technology situation, right? We were there a few weeks ago, and it's sort of a hybrid of many different track disciplines, and I expect to see a lot of the same here tonight at North Wilkesboro. It's going to drive with these cars. You're going to experience some high speeds, right? You're going to experience something not like a Bristol, something not like a Martinsville, but definitely towards the end of these things, we've seen SCL raise the tempers up, and the track instantly starts to morph into short track racing, short track tempers. Chrome horns will be used, drivers will be bumped. I'm excited for tonight, and anybody tuning in, feel free to let us know down in the comments how excited you are for kind of another hybrid track on the schedule here in North Wilkesboro.
Yep, absolutely. And to those of you who are in the comments, tonight you guys have a job. It is going to be to vote for who you think has the best throwback paint scheme. There are a lot of drivers here tonight, and we will go through them as we go into the qualifying session now. The winner of the best throwback paint scheme tonight will get $20. So you guys will decide who will become $20 richer here before the end of the night. And the first one to take the track will be the 18 of Austin Call, one of the first. Derek Gilray, Joseph Grijalva, Michael Accord, all out on track right now.
It's going to be really important, I feel, qualifying tonight, just simply because drivers are a little unfamiliar about this racetrack, right? And so they're going to try to feel out, where are the passing zones? How am I better than the guys in front of me? You don't have to worry about that, Frank, if you start up front. So I think these drivers are going to try to put on a show during qualifying, really push the issue in order to get a good time.
You have to worry about figuring out a way to keep everybody behind you for the duration, as Austin Call sets the benchmark at an 18.97 on his first lap. No one has gone quicker. 4 other drivers have crossed the line. Never mind, I'll take that back. Trevor Dalton in a Rusty Wallace Miller Genuine Draft Throwback takes the top spot at an 18.80.
Trevor Dalton had a very strong car last week, and there's a few drivers we're going to mention tonight that definitely had strong showings, but maybe their finishing positions don't reflect where they wound up. But I do expect Trevor Dalton to be one of those names that we've seen over these last few weeks with SCL is consistently up front trying to make some noise. Right now he's top of the charts.
Todd Merkel right now heading through turns 3 and 4 on his second lap. Joshua Yarborough will cross the line just ahead of him in the 77. And neither driver able to improve on their first lap. Chris Vanderplat's in the 10. Another Miller Genuine Draft car.
Beautiful schemes. Man, I got excited over what SCL normally puts out on these cars for their paint schemes. Tonight, we're going to be in for a treat.
Vanderplatz goes P7 on his second lap. Here's Braxton DeWeese, put it on pole on his first lap. And lap number 2 for the number 8 will be slower, but he will remain on the pole, at least for right now. We got a couple of guys. There's Maxwell Caldwell out on circuit. Chris Myers in the title sponsor car out to the point. Charles Evans, on his second lap. Evans jumps up to 9th. Barrett Flo on lap number 2 goes to the pole at an 18.75. Maxwell Caldwell crossing the line now. Caldwell 8th quickest on his first lap. He will jump up to 7th quickest here on his second as we see the 199 of Justin Sorrell.
And Bear Flo, he ran a smart race last week as well. We're getting to that time of year, Frank, where the cream starts to rise to the top in some of these leagues, and no different here at North Wilkesboro.
Absolutely. Sorrell will go 20th quickest on his first lap. Josh Tarrant Hill and Tillman Hoyer on track as well. Sorrell will finish his second lap, at least theoretically. Will finish his second lap before either one of those two gets to the line. There is Hill's first lap, and Tarrant Hill will go 23rd slowest of the drivers who have taken time thus far.
Yeah, looking at the intervals between first and fifth, sixth. Ooh. Man, I thought if we didn't talk about them, we wouldn't be jinxing anybody. But
there's a beauty. Tillman Hoyer bringing out T-Rex.
Got to be careful. You gotta be wary about post-race inspection in that car.
Absolutely. 22nd quickest for Tillman Hoyer, and he will be the last one to get a qualifying attempt in. 30 drivers getting set to take to the grid here tonight after the 35 we had last week at Homestead. Now, typically with these series, the numbers tend to fall off a little bit at the end of the and towards the end of the season as guys start to realize, hey, we're not in the championship hunt anymore. Nice to see a 30-car field here. Sorry, trying to do two things at once.
Well, I can second that. How about that? I've been overly impressed over these last few weeks, just how filled this field is, and SCL doesn't disappoint, man. They put on a good show for all the folks out there in YouTube land, and I'm excited to get this thing going.
Yep, they absolutely do. As we get set to go here, let's take a look at the grid here for tonight's race. Barrett Flo and Chris Myers. Chris Myers missing out on the pole by 1/1000th of a second. Those two will make up row number 1. Row 2 goes to Braxton DeWeese and Trevor Dalton. Austin Call and Joseph Grijalva will make up row number 3. Row 4 goes to Maxwell Caldwell and Mike Peters. Charles Evans and Mark Brown will sit in row number 5. Row 6 goes to Chris Vanderplatz and Derek Gilray. Eric Schaus and Justin Lewis will make up row number 7. Row 8 goes to Joshua Yarborough and Todd Merkel. Michael Accord and Michael Matta will make up row 9, with Anthony Monroe and Justin Sorrell making up row number 10.
21st, we see Dalton Randolph, Tillman Hauer. I missed you so much last week because I know I miss Hoyer. I apologize, Tillman. I've tried really hard, and I'm going to get it this week. Andrew McKenzie starting in 23rd. Alongside of him is Josh Tarrant Hill. Bryce Cobler in 25th. With Adam Lowe starting in P26. Larry McKenzie in that 00 making his way to 27th. Richard Sudduth starting in 28th. Devin Ray in 29th. And P30 is James Mann.
So that will be the 30 drivers that will take to the grid here tonight for the race. Weather conditions for today's race. We are just past 1 o'clock p.m. in sim time. 79-degree ambient temperature, but that's not the story. 128-degree track temperature. High track temperature, high horsepower in these cars. These things are going to be very, very slick for the 125 laps we have here tonight.
That was a storyline last week, Frank, at Homestead. You don't really think of it being a slippy track, right, with these long corners we see at Homestead-Miami, but the track temp there was really high too, so these drivers are sort of getting used to high track temps in these cars. But again, different track discipline is going to be key in trying to find your rhythm early and making some progress as we move along through tonight's contest. I'm really excited for what's in store here at North Wilkesboro. These drivers are definitely going to be put to the test.
Take a look here for a second at the driver who will start in the P2 position. That is Chris Myers, carrying, as I had mentioned, the race sponsor car here tonight, Garza Law Firm. Tonight's race sponsor is Garza Law Firm out of Knoxville, Tennessee, and the WJM Motorsports team. WJM Motorsports, the newly started iRacing team composed of a few select drivers by the names of Chris Myers, Roger Pierce, Ron Morris, and Cody Anderson, handpicked by owner Bill Mulfield, who also works daily as an investigator for Garza Law Firm. Bill has been working very hard networking and gaining as much knowledge about the iRacing community to put together his team and bring in sponsors to support their journey to the top levels of iRacing. So a huge shout out to Bill Mulfield for what he does for this team and supporting the SCL League and many others by sponsoring these races. So Chris Myers, at least for the time being, has that number 24 up towards the front here as we get set to go here, as the pace car is going to be coming in after this parade lap.
So much pressure to get that title sponsor a good finish tonight, but he's overcome the first hurdle, right? A good qualifying position, making sure you're up front early, I think is going to be key in this one. But they are all going to be following that Petty Blue 92 of Barrett Flow.
Yep, absolutely. Coming through turns 3 and 4 for the final time here. Under pace speed, getting set to go. Barrett Flow has control over the field. 125 laps from the North Wilkesboro Speedway. We are green.
Side by side, barreling down into turn 1. You see Chris Myers getting the jump on that high line, and it looks like, yes, he will be able to gain the lead as we are already on the opposite end of the racetrack. That's how quick laps go by here at North Wilkesboro.
About 18 to 19 seconds as that outside line. It's not spoken about much around here, but there is progressive banking at this racetrack. You do not want to be down on the very bottom, just as the case was at Michigan a couple of weeks ago, as we see a lap car there. That's James Mann trying to get out of the way down the middle of the back straightaway. But the outside line is going to be where you want to be as the 07 in the back is around. That's Justin Lewis, and that caused a huge stack up on the front stretch.
I don't want to speculate here, but that might have to do with the lap car going through the back of the field. As you can see, there's more cars involved. We got to see what happened here.
This is 77 of Joshua Yarborough that was involved in there as well. Chris Vanderplat's also having a bit of an issue in the 10. Let's see, up there's the 67 up by the wall. Oh no, that was the 07 of Lewis trying to cut down. And you can see a nice host of our throwback schemes here tonight making their way through that.
Yeah, I think, Frank, what happened is the 07 machine of Justin Lewis, he saw James Mann up against the fence, and anytime something abnormal happens when you're a driver, you just tend to lose focus for just a split second, and unfortunately that caused Lewis to miss his exit point in the corner. He might have been paying attention to that car right next to the wall, caused a caution here very early.
We're just on board with Justin Lewis for that replay, driving a 2003 Kurt Busch Sharpie scheme on his car. We saw Chris Vanderplat's car earlier. Take a look now here through some of the field here at some of these throwback cars. We got, of course, the early 2010s Jeff Gordon machine for Chris Myers. Trevor Dalton we saw during the qualifying session. Austin Call, Mike Peters. Now that is not a NASCAR throwback for Mike Peters. As a matter of fact, that is a throwback to his old drifting days on that number 95. That is the paint scheme that he had on his 2005 Formula Drift El Camino is what he is sporting tonight. Derek Gilray, of course, in the Cole Trickle Superflow number 46. Eric Schaus. I don't know if Eric Schaus can qualify as a throwback if that's his car every single week.
Oh, man, but it looks so good every week.
It certainly does. Michael Matta with an interpretation of that Jimmy Johnson throwback, combining Richard Petty and Dale Earnhardt. Speaking of Jimmy Johnson throwbacks, the 48, that is Michael Accord. He'll show 17 tonight in that pure Jimmy Johnson throwback. Anthony Monroe, number 82, running the silver Dale Earnhardt scheme that he had at the Winston. Dalton Randolph just behind. Not sure if that's a Dale Jarrett, a Bobby Labonte, or
all the above.
That is, yeah, exactly. Saw Tillman Hoyer, and we'll go through a little bit more here after we get back to green flag racing.
Well, 2x2 here as the lights are off on the pace truck. It will be Chris Myers leading the field down. Interesting enough, taking the low line here on this restart, gets a great jump and is able to clear the field going into one.
One of the nice things about being able to control the restart is being able to get out ahead. And remember, if you're just joining us a little bit late here, you've already missed one incident a little bit earlier on. But again, with this being a throwback race, tell us whose throwback you like the most here tonight. And the winner by chat vote will be awarded $20 for their throwback efforts here tonight. As we see a big wad of cars in the back, right around Derek Gilray, Eric Schaus there, Todd Merkel as the caution comes out again. Looks like Justin Lewis in the 07 again has had an issue.
Look at that front tire there. Got a broken tie rod situation perhaps on the 07 machine.
And that left front, the right front's not turning at all.
Yeah.
So he had a big moment there. See what happened here with Justin Lewis. He was riding around Larry McKenzie. Just trying to get back up through the field. It happened in front of him.
Ooh. Tarrant Hill up there.
Oh, and then that's what happened.
Whoa, double zero flipping over.
It happened up near Anthony Monroe is where it started. Monroe loses it on his own. Everyone checks up, and then as the 82 is getting back on the track.
Oh, well, I don't want to be that guy, Frank, but I'm fairly certain Monroe had some help.
Definitely might have. Again, 30 drivers here tonight as we ride on board with Larry McKenzie. Boy, McKenzie just had nowhere to go, and then just the lazy rollover.
At this point, you're just hoping, somebody flip me back. I don't want to tow all the way back.
Exactly.
But,
he
not
ended
the
up
case.
telling. Justin Lewis on pit road.
And I think right here, Dalton Randolph, if we had another peek at that replay, that might be the culprit right there. And I'm not here to point fingers up in the booth. I'm just telling it how it is, Frank. I tell it like I see it, and I'm fairly certain just a mixture of people having different braking points going into the corner. Oh, yep.
Caught it right there. Caught it right at the back end, and that was the 98 getting into the back of the 82.
But that's what's so hard about these kinds of tracks, Frank. That's a hodgepodge of different driving disciplines where you can attack the corners from so many different entry levels, and braking points are different depending on who you're racing around. So your rhythm constantly changes, and with 2 early cautions, not a lot of rhythm to be found here tonight yet.
Devin Ray in the chat. He was scheduled to be here tonight. However, he did not start in his number 11. Devin Ray throwing in a nod for his teammate in the number 10 with the best paint scheme in the chat. As we get set to go back to green flag racing here once again from the North Wilkesboro Speedway. As Myers controls from the inside once again, green flag back in the air. Myers getting a good start. Once again, he will get out in front of Trevor Dalton in the 30.
Well, Dalton this time doesn't let the 24 exactly run away from him, as they are within half a car length, barreling down into 3 and 4. Now Dalton under attack from Braxton DeWeese.
Yeah, Braxton DeWeese with a nice little run there coming out of turn 4. Loses it though, as he got loose on that inside a little bit further back. Once again, in the Hornet's nest, right behind Mark Brown. A lot of racing going on. Michael Matta, this is 13th position, just about 3 wide going through turns 3 and 4, and they are just behind him.
And they make it work. Unbelievable, just behind them 3 wide, being able to sort all that out. Good job on those drivers, but it's certainly right now get everything you can for some of these drivers further on back in the field.
Absolutely. Michael Matta right there on the bottom under Todd Merkel. That is for 13th position. And oh, someone sideways. It looks like Charles Evans. May have gassed it up a little bit too much, but fortunately able to keep it straight. And Evans gets it going.
Great save there by Evans, being able to just keep it pointed straight. Now you can't compound mistakes. You got to get back into that rhythm. He's having a little bit of a difficult time doing that right now because, well, nobody wants to be up there next to the fence.
Can't quite see whether or not there's suspension broken on that. Is Michael Accord in that?
Joseph Grijalva. It was slow. I'm sorry, Frank. Joseph Grijalva was on the inside of the backstretch on that last lap. He was in the grass. I don't know what happened to him. The field whizzed by him as he was pretty much stopped next to the inside wall.
Take a look and see here. This is what happened with Grijalva battling in the top 5. Oh, just lost it on his own. Going through, coming out of turn 2. Didn't touch anything though, so that 47 is still looking as pristine as it can be. As there's a 19 of Richard Sudduth up into the 14th spot. Well, Accord with a big wiggle in the 17 just behind. Oh, and around goes, around goes the 19.
Everybody trying to get as much as they can, and the 19 sideways. Yep.
Richard Sudduth with an incident that started in turn 1, stops on the backstretch and gets it rolled. My goodness, look at the pace truck go.
I think the pace truck needs to be dolled up in drifting throwback paint schemes. Look at it go.
Mike Peters, I think your paint scheme has been earned elsewhere, sir. Let's take a look at the incident at hand here. Is Sudduth, we saw him get loose. Oh, he was trying to split the middle between the 2 and the 16. Didn't make it work. And just as the 82 did earlier on, loops it going on the grass, going from the grass to the track.
As you can see, the 07 making his way around the field.
Very welcomed caution for Justin Lewis.
I do have to say, Frank, that paint scheme looks pretty sharp.
It brings back memories. It certainly does.
So you weren't here in the booth last week, Frank. Does that mean I get
no.
2 bad jokes for this race?
Well,
Do they?
If you're asking me because that was one of them, then yes, you get one more.
Well, they're certainly chasing all after Chris Myers right now. He's been able to control a lot of these restarts. I've been very impressed by how he's able to do that from the low lane. As we've talked about at the top of the show, it's really the higher line, that second groove, that gets you around. It's a huge gamble in my mind from Myers. If you spin the tires off a restart, then you're already pinned on the bottom. But he's doing a pretty good job tonight.
And he has had a very, very good go of things here through the first fifth of this race. That's how quick these races go around here, even as we've had 3 cautions here tonight. Still working lap 28, about to go to 29 of 125. Very quick night so far here at Wilkesboro as we line up to do it again.
Well, side by side here, lights are off on the official drift truck, and he will peel down pit road, and it's going to be Chris Myers and Trevor Dalton once again side by side, leading them to the green flag as they barrel down into turn 1.
Another great start there for Myers, as Braxton DeWeese getting a very good jump in that 8. Just behind him is DeWeese. Started in that 3rd position, now up into 2nd as Trevor Dalton loses position.
Very impressive move from DeWeese, using that inside lane to really rotate the center of the corner, getting a big jump on Trevor Dalton. He's been sitting back in that 3rd, 4th place for a little while. Maybe he's learning a thing or two about these drivers in front of him.
Learning a thing or two about timing these restarts, I should say. As we see Tillman Hoyer battling in that number 26, just to the inside of the 46, looking to get into the top 10. A little bit of a wiggle out of Michael Accord. That allows Todd Merkel to slip to the inside in the 2.
I love these kinds of races where drivers are coming and going all night long. We are seeing some movement from a couple of these guys mid-pack trying to claw their way back through the field, and definitely great battling going on back here.
Top 9 have gone single file as we get 3 wide here coming out of turn 4. Accord just does work his way through in the 17, showing 48 on the car to be true to the throwback. As Accord works his way up into the 11th position, he's +4. Tillman Hoyer +12 on the day so far, as T-Rex is starting to march its way forward.
Oh man, it's such low-hanging fruit, but I gotta save my joke. So Tillman's making his way through the field very well tonight. You can see he's getting right next to that curb here on this shot, and I've been really impressed by these drivers, how close they can really wrap the bottom without kind of jumping that little lip that's down there, especially on the bottom of 3 and 4. Right here, you can see it.
Yep, you can see that curbing. Again, much like Martinsville, where we're going to go next week. And Tony and I found out through our AI series that the AI have a little bit of a problem with that curbing on pit entry. Now, before you had mentioned as Accord getting really loose again, you had mentioned comers and goers. Here is one of them. Joseph Grijalva was up towards the front, about half spun, coming out of turn 2, maybe a dozen or so laps ago, has worked his way up into the 17th position, now banging doors with the 16 of Michael Matta.
Yeah, it just seems every week now at SCL we tend to mention Joseph Grijalva, and wow, people getting squirrely behind him, but the march to the front continues for that 47 machine, as there's a whole host of drivers back here just going at it around the 17th, 18th position.
That was Dalton Randolph in the 98 who had gotten loose coming out of turn 4 that last time around. Andrew McKenzie in the 6 right now is the car that's stuck leading that outside line. Justin Lewis behind him. Richard Suddeth there as well. Bryce Cobler finished third last week at Homestead-Miami Speedway upon debut in the series in the 75. Not having things go his way tonight. Right now just getting up inside the top 20 for the first time tonight.
Yeah, I was able to talk to him last week and talk to him about his qualifying effort, and he said, you know what, I don't really qualify very well, and it created a lot of work for him last week he wasn't looking forward to. Definitely the same case tonight, as he's +6 from where he started, and as we've documented, he's not exactly to the front of the field. So again, qualifying matters, and uphill climb for certain for Bryce tonight.
Josh Tarrant Hill getting around the 46 of Derek Gilray. Gilray pushing up the racetrack, allowing Joseph Grijalva to go through as well. The 47 up into 17th position, as I believe that was the 119 of 199, pardon me, of Justin Sorrell that has gone around. Single car spin into the grass, no caution.
Man, from where that spin was and where the smoke sort of trailed from, I was on bated breath. I thought that was going to be a lot bigger than what it was, as this battle for the lead is going to rage on now with the lap car in front of him.
Yep, Chris Myers to the outside. Braxton DeWeese, you saw him jumping the curb there through 3 and 4 last time around. DeWeese going to try to use the lap car of Sorrell as a pick. And it looks as though Sorrell will jump up to that outside line. A little bit of netcode contact between the 199 and the 8. DeWeese picks off the spot. Myers jumps in behind him, and now the lap car, the 199, has gotten passed by the entirety of the top 5.
Look at Barrett Flo here in the 92 machine. He's making his way through the field right now, picking up that third position from Trevor Dalton. Dalton kind of struggling here in the middle of the run. Doesn't seem to have that good rotation through the center of the corner that we saw early on. I think that has to do with his low entry into these corners. You see some drivers really arcing it in. I've been watching Dalton here for a little bit, and he does take a low entry on the opposite end of the track.
And there you see that 30 of Trevor Dalton, just about getting hit by Maxwell Caldwell there going into turn 1. Braxton DeWeese starting to run away a little bit up here at the front, has a 0.6 of a second lead at the moment, and these 5 currently hold a 2.6 second lead over Mike Peters, who currently occupies the 6th position. Austin Call right there, Eric Schaus, Mark Brown, Michael Accord rounding out the top 10. We are working lap 48 of 125 here from North Wilkesboro Speedway. Braxton DeWeese looking to go back to back here in the SCL Winston Cup Series. We'll be back right after this. Back live, continuing our flag-to-flag coverage here of the Garza Law Firm WJM Throwback here at North Wilkesboro, as caution number 4 has flown around the racetrack as guys coming down pit road, led by the race leader Braxton DeWeese. Trevor Dalton deciding to stay out on the 55-lap old tires he has.
I think there was some confusion for some drivers where pit road entry was. I saw Austin Call kind of do a little bit of an okie doke. He thought about going and sort of missed where pit road entry was, stopped, didn't come to a full stop, but definitely thought about it by the looks of things. And as you can see now, timing and scoring having him going down pit road, so he did miss it on the first time around.
Yeah, a couple of guys missing it. So Braxton DeWeese, the winner of the race off of pit road, appears as though he will restart in the 4th position, as we will take a look at the incident here that brought out caution number 4. So there is Sudduth getting loose, coming out of turn 2, the 46, into the 25 of Evans. And then Larry McKenzie tried to sneak his way through on the outside, and unfortunately didn't go well for him.
Poor Larry McKenzie. He's had an eventful race, hasn't he? He's been upside down.
Yep.
He's gotten in wrecks that weren't his fault, and ultimately a 3-car incident here that brings out a caution at a very unique point in the race. As you can now see, Trevor Dalton going down pit road.
Trevor Dalton, that will leave Joseph Grijalva and Justin Lewis. Now, Grijalva came in back on lap 24. Justin Lewis came in on lap 11. Lewis, who was a part of the first 2 incidents here tonight, now getting the lucky dog, and now up in contention to try to win this race.
Yeah. Well, we've certainly seen a lot from this series over the last few weeks, and fuel strategy, different pit cycles, that's been a huge part of this league's identity, and Grijalva and Lewis are making sure that it's going to be a part of the storyline tonight, and very curious to see how much track position matters on restarts like this, and if these guys can hold the field at bay. But Frank, the drift truck is ready to go down pit road once again.
Yes, it is, as Grijalva and Lewis, older tires, leading the field here on this restart. Fresh tires for the remainder of the field, as confusion for pit road has jumbled the field up a little bit. Grijalva and Lewis get away side by side. Look at Braxton DeWeese go for the race lead on the bottom.
3 wide coming out of turn 2. They are still that way down the backstretch. What a move there by the 07 machine to keep it underneath him. But ultimately, it will be Braxton DeWeese leading this lap. But impressively enough, Justin Lewis fighting back.
Boy, and Joseph Grijalva has fallen down a pit after being in the race lead, making contact with the 95. He fell from 1st all the way to 6th on that opening salvo. Make it 7th now, as he's getting split by Michael Matta and Eric Schaus. Big wiggle out of the 47 of Grijalva as his free fall continues.
Further back you go in these fields.
Oh,
there it is!
1873-26. And now the rest of the field towards the back starting to get involved in it. It was Austin Call just trying to get around Joseph Grijalva. And that will bring out caution number 5. Boy, oh boy. Spoken about how disastrous a restart that was for Grijalva. There he goes, bouncing off the 2, straightens the car out right into the door of Austin Call.
Wow. A lot of people involved there. You saw the 95. He was pinned to the wall. He wrecked before this wreck happened, and being parked on the inside wall, he almost had a wreck land right in his lap.
There's the incident from Mark Brown's perspective. Take a look at this from Dustin Randolph on board. This incident happened well in front of Randolph in the 98. Boy, and just everyone stops up.
And this is where North Wilkesboro, Frank, looks a lot like a Bristol, looks a lot like a Martinsville, where when there is a crash, there's not a lot of room to get around it. And certainly self-evident here, as you can see from Mike Peters' point of view, almost having a crash land right in your lap. I'm sure he was just trying to minimize his own self-spin. Looks behind him. You see a wad of cars coming towards you.
Everyone on the move towards you and not necessarily in a controlled state. So that one by far would be our biggest incident of the night. And once again, this race being sponsored by the Garza law firm. And I'd like to remind you once again that the Garza law firm out of Knoxville, Tennessee, and the WJM Motorsports team. WJM Motorsports is a newly started iRacing team composed of a few select drivers by the names of Chris Myers, Roger Pierce, Ron Morris, and Cody Anderson, all handpicked by owner Bill Mulfield, who also works daily as an investigator for Garza law firm. My goodness. Bill has been working very hard networking and gaining as much knowledge about the iRacing community to put together his team and bring in sponsors to support their journey to the top levels of iRacing. So a huge shout out to Bill Mulfield, I hope I'm saying your name right, for what he does for this team and supporting the SCL series and many others by sponsoring races. So the number 24 here tonight, carrying the series sponsor as he usually does. Still putting on a very good show here tonight. Has not been lower than fourth here tonight as DeWeese gets a great jump on that inside line. Myers forced to fall back. Barrett Flo to the inside, now getting hassled on the outside by Maxwell Caldwell.
We saw the strength in that 24 machine be the low line on many restarts, but I will refresh our viewers' memory. That 24 started this race on the high line on the outside of the front row and was able to make it work on the very first restart. This is his first time kind of recommitting back out there. Did that change of pace really well as he's trying now to hunt down the 8 of Braxton DeWeese.
DeWeese in control of this race after taking the race lead, as that's the 17. That is Michael Accord, pardon me. And Accord will bring out caution number 6 on the night.
That was a big hit.
He fought forever to try to save that, and unfortunately it finally went on him. See this one from the 17. Now just lost it on his own. We've seen that out of him a couple of times tonight. Very wayward on corner exit. And that time it just bit him.
Yeah, again, it's all about throttle management and understanding how hard you can push the cars on exit. These next gens tend to spin out when they're under tremendous pressure. As you can see, he's trying to beat the pace truck, and he does.
Just did.
But ultimately, we're on lap 69, almost approaching lap 70 here of this 125 lap contest. I think you still got some time to learn, but you can't be making those mistakes anymore. Good for him that he does stay on the lead lap, though.
We're looking to see here through the chat here as far as best throwback paint scheme. I've got 2 votes for Chris Vanderplat's in the 10. Vanderplat's currently running in the 10th position right now. An Allison era throwback machine. And then I have 1 vote for the 95 of Peters. Who Peters, after being involved in that incident, ahead of the incident a couple of cautions ago, currently sitting on pit road now in 19th, but he has been solidly in the top 10 all night.
Yeah, just tending to what I can assume is damage repairs here on pit road, and ultimately, I believe he is going to lose a lap here, but With the cautions that have been tonight, Frank, I think it's safe to say you stand a good chance if you're one lap down to get a lap back before the end of this thing.
Pardon me, I've also got a vote. I missed this one. I may have misread it, actually. Barrett Flo. I wouldn't say a throwback for the 92 since the team usually runs these paint schemes. Case in point would be the 21 of Josh Tarrant Hill, who currently occupies the 11th position. We got a couple of Rusty Wallace schemes tonight. We've got a plethora of Jeff Gordon schemes tonight. Personal throwback schemes, Jimmy Johnson throwbacks tonight. So we've had a lot here as we get set to go back to green flag racing. Lap 74 of 125. We are green once again. Another great start from Braxton DeWeese. This time Myers gets to the inside with a little bit of urgency as the 94 of Maxwell Caldwell trying to fight him for second.
Very impressed with Caldwell's start there. Was able to stay disciplined on that restart and managed to get P3 out of that. As you can see back here behind Eric Schaus, there's a whole bunch of action going on.
Absolutely is. It's the 16 of Michael Matta on the outside line. Matta up into fifth, his highest position tonight. 14 of Schaus, Trevor Dalton, who was running firmly in the top 5 for a majority of this race before getting lost on the pit cycle on lap 55. Starting to work his way back through the field. Highest running Toyota right now is that 30 of Dalton.
We mentioned earlier Dalton's low entry point is
Tillman
he's
Hoyer.
gonna save it. No!
Oh, Grijalva
Big
gets
crash.
it. The 73 gets it. There's Mark Brown. And that started with the 26.
And he has significant right front damage. As you can see, that wheel kind of yawed out there.
I think T-Rex broke a tooth there.
Oh, no, wait a second here. Frank, you can't be the one throwing out jokes, because you're the one in charge. How am I supposed to keep you in check? You're just going to go rogue over the episode.
Of course. It's the best way to keep you in check, is keep you on your toes. So we'll see what happened here. Hoyer on the inside in the 26. Basically what Michael Accord did, and instead he caught it right back up the racetrack as there's Brown. Ooh, a couple more cars getting into it. Austin Call, Sorrell getting into it there too. We'll ride on board here with Austin Call. Maybe. Here we go. See, the incident happened ahead. Immediately on the brakes. Powered up to get around the 26 and then ended up getting cut between the 73 and the 199.
Well, the more things change, the more they stay the same tonight. It's been Braxton DeWeese and Chris Myers up front for the majority of this evening's contest, and yet this field is still chasing after them. With these short runs, Frank, I don't know if there's going to be a whole lot of pressure from far back to catch up with these guys, because both of these drivers have been so good as control cars on the restart.
Absolutely. Looking through this now, I got 3 votes now for Chris Vanderplatz for throwback scheme of the race. Again, just to go through them quickly, Chris Myers, 24. We've seen him a lot tonight. Michael Matta in the 16. Trevor Dalton in the 30. Chris Vanderplaat's in the 10. There he is. Justin Lewis in the Kurt Busch throwback from the early 2000s. Dalton Randolph with a Dale Jarrett / Bobby Labonte special. The 90s for Gibbs. 95 of Mike Peters running his 2005 Formula Drift El Camino paint scheme on that 95 tonight. Throwback to himself. Michael Accord in the Jimmy Johnson throwback. Tillman Hoyer in T-Rex. You saw him pop the fast repair there. 46 of Derek Gilray also with a throwback tonight. A lot of guys throwing it back here for tonight's race. Braxton DeWeese out in front, throwing it back out to the race lead.
And the battle rages for third. As I say that, it quickly dissipates, and we got a big one here. The 16 of Mata was sideways, and
boy, that could have been a lot bigger than it was.
that was a big one that didn't happen. It was in the middle of on corner exit in the middle of the field. That was the perfect recipe for nearly half the field getting involved, and somehow it sorts itself out.
Absolutely. So we'll see from... So these guys were 3 wide on this restart here, as we'll see Todd Merkel. There's Merkel in the 2. Merkel's going to get up to the outside of the 16. They're 3 wide, and Mata just didn't realize how close Merkel had gotten there, and unfortunately for those two, it ended up with the 16 sideways facing the wrong way down the backstretch wall.
Wow, I'm just shocked. That should have been a lot worse than what it was. Good awareness from all those drivers involved, trying to get around that. I think instantly of Justin Lewis. I felt like we've said Justin's name a lot tonight for nearly all the wrong reasons in that Kurt Busch throwback, but he did a good job missing that one, so shout out to the 07.
Absolutely. Justin Lewis up into 9th. He was key figure in the first 2 cautions of the night. Fell a lap down, got a lucky dog. Now running back up in the top 10. For everything Mark Brown's been involved in here tonight, he's up in 10th. Trevor Dalton, we had mentioned before, was firmly up in the top 5 for most of the first half of this race, is in 5th right now. So he's worked his way back up. Joseph Grijalva was working his way back through the field, had that incident set him back. He's battling in 13th right now.
Yeah, something we really haven't talked a lot about, Frank, is the different pit strategies that are going on right now. We have a group of drivers that pitted around lap 53, 54, 55, and ultimately a big change can be seen in Joseph Grijalva as well as Josh Charrett Hill, both pitting on lap 80. Be interesting to see how those tires should last with these competitors, just because we haven't had a ton of green flag runs.
Oh, it will be interesting to see how quickly, and they're going to have to be really aggressive in order to use those tires. However, we've seen, especially lately, how that aggression has worked for these guys. It has not necessarily been in their favor. As DeWeese and Myers once again get ready to restart this race. Pace truck is off. DeWeese really held them back quite a bit. They're going through 3 and 4. Gets a good jump. Myers also getting a pretty decent jump, but he will slide into second. Now looking to try to get back under the 8. Makes contact with the 8. Moves the 8 up the hill. Myers backs off, and that'll allow Maxwell Caldwell to get to the outside and into second.
Wow, it doesn't get more pristine than that from a bump and run standpoint. We've seen a lot of contact tonight, mostly resulting in wrecks, and Chris Myers and Braxton DeWeese, they've put on a show all night long, but now they're showing how to make contact without wrecking. Very, very good driving from those guys.
Absolutely. We ride on board with Chris Vanderplatz now. Vanderplatz running in the 9th position. The 73 makes contact with the 2, and around they all go. Big pile up.
There it is.
Plugs up the track. It's not that often we get lucky to jump on board with an incident while it's happening, and that was a big one.
I think at one point in this caution, there wasn't a single lane of asphalt to maneuver around. I'm fairly certain they had the whole field jammed up.
Take a look at it again here. The 73 gets into the 2, which is what starts this, and then just everyone gets loose and starts falling back down the way down the racetrack. 75 up against the wall. I think that 6 is the only one from behind all of these guys that actually had no damage getting through it. Been the 6 of Andrew McKenzie. See this from McKenzie's point of view now. It's the incident happening. Oh, does make contact with the 57 in the wall.
I'll tell you what, Frank, something interesting is happening, and we're going to see this from Lewis's point of view. Has just nowhere to go. The back end of the car lifting up there.
Yeah, I believe that was either the 16 or the 21 getting into the back of him there. That's what jacked him up a little bit. And you're right, there is some pit strategy going on here as Braxton DeWeese has come down pit road, brought the rest of the leaders down with him. He'll restart in 6th after Michael Matta, Joseph Grijalva, Joshua Yarborough, who's coming in now, Mike Peters, and Derek Gilray, who's coming in now as well, all decided to stay out initially on the first go-around.
Huh.
So Michael Matta, who's just a part of that wreck, will be the race leader.
Well, not the first time we've seen that in this league, huh, Frank? Getting involved in a caution and then turn right around and boom, you're the leader. So
it worked out quite well last time, if I remember correctly.
So track position has been king tonight. I think Michael Matta's had enough of being stuck back in traffic, and even if the gamble says, you know what, I'm gonna be out here on what looks like. Let's see if my math is right. 8-lap older tires, not a lot at all. Definitely a doable thing. Joseph Grijalva, he's going to try this strategy again. If you remember early on, he fell through the field. But these tires are much more comparable from the guys in the front to the guys behind him. I think this one might work.
And Braxton DeWeese came in on lap 92, Matta lap 84, Grijalva lap 80, Mike Peters on lap 86. So you're right, very comparable tires as compared to the guys behind them as compared to the last restart, as the restart has been extended 1 lap to allow everyone to catch up, and we're about to go green now.
Maybe they're phoning Michael Matta right now going, are you sure you want to do this? But I think his mind's made up. He's decided, I don't want to be in traffic anymore. Let me sniff some of that clean air and see if I can get away from the field.
Not a bad bet. As Michael Matta looks to lead the final 28 laps here tonight. Green flag in the air. Matta with a great jump. Grijalva not so much. DeWeese trying to poke his way to the outside line. Grijalva gets to the spot first. Matta away down the back straightaway.
And the longer that the 95 and 47 battle, that would put a grin on Matta's face, but he's got to make sure he's not getting involved. You got to keep the 8 behind you, as you see there, Caldwell. The 94 of Caldwell sideways. Can he save it?
Wow, what a save by Maxwell Caldwell.
And we're still rolling here. What a save. Save of the race right there. My goodness, as they're beating for the lead here.
Oh, and Braxton DeWeese had to check up after that. Hits the inside wall. That may have broken the left front. It has.
Race favorite. Oh.
Peters and Mata bounced off of each other coming out of turn 4. DeWeese had to check up, and that broke the rear end of the car around. In any event, that leaves Mike Peters with the race lead right now. Chris Myers battling Mata for second.
Got to catch our breath here.
Boy, Grijalva and Dalton beating and banging off each other down the front straightaway as well.
And what drove so much for so long, like a long intermediate track, barreling down these straightaways, is now turning into a short track as these drivers are just beating the doors off each other here at North Wilkesboro.
And this is not the time to be getting sour grapes with somebody else and burning bridges. We got Martinsville next week. It's not like we got a big track where guys are going to get spread out as caution comes out now. Justin Lewis in the 07 around again. That's with Larry McKenzie. Stopped on the racetrack. Oh, Justin Sorrell around as well, the 199.
Oh, Frank, I think we're going to be busy broadcasters during this caution. There's so much to unpack from that last run.
Yeah, we had a lot go on there. As we'll see, this is hopefully, I say hopefully because I'm not quite sure when this replay will pick up. This is hopefully Maxwell Caldwell getting loose out of 4 here. Yep, there he goes, gets loose, gasses it up to get back up into the racing line, slides it, somehow only gets door-to-door contact with the 14 as damage for that. Then it's Braxton DeWeese, and again, this incident starts up in front of him. As watch the 95 and the 16 bang doors coming out of turn 4 here. That's going to force the 8 to check up a little bit. Ooh, and hits that inside wall hard. Fortunately for DeWeese, he has the fast repair he can use. And now here's the incident that brought out the caution. This is Justin Lewis. And Caldwell trying to get a spot back. Ooh, nope, just pushed the 67 of Man up a little bit too high. And there's Sorrell coming in, a completely innocent bystander. Hits the fence.
Hey, shout out to Larry McKenzie back there getting that thing woed up. At first we thought you were part of the caution, but turned out you were on your toes. So absolutely. Shout out to you in that 00 car.
What a mix-up of a 7 or 8 lap stretch there that has really pulled this whole field back together again, and it is Chris Myers who is once again out in front of this race. Now Myers on the season, here's your ill-prepared broadcaster here. As the field doubles up to get set to go back to green flag racing here. Myers currently running 10th in the championship, a good 400 points off of Maxwell Caldwell, looking for his first win of the season. Wouldn't you love to get it in your sponsor's race?
Yeah, a lot of pressure. He's definitely answered the call. His pace truck is off. It will be Myers and Peters side by side, and good restart there from Myers in the 24.
He's gotten them all night long as Mike Peters on that outside still trying to hang with Michael Mata. Mata swings into that gap. Wasn't quite there until he got into it. Mata up into third. The 47 of Grijalva battling side by side with Trevor Dalton. That's for 5th. Or for fourth, pardon me.
Battle rages on back here for, all the way back through fourth, about seventh or eighth back here. There's a lot of drivers trying to get a lot of real estate. Remember, some of these guys are on different strategies as the 47 gets turned, coming out of the corner, and that's going to bring out a yellow.
Fortunately for Joseph Grijalva, he doesn't hit anything.
Contact between him and, I believe, don't quote me on it, but I believe it's Joshua Yarborough.
92 of Barrett Flo right behind him. And he got loose, and Flo finished him off. I believe it was those two that had their run-in together at Gateway a couple of weeks ago. Not saying that had anything to do with what we just saw.
Oh, never. Never.
Well, to be fair, Grijalva was loose coming out of the corner already.
Mm-hmm.
And Flo with Todd Merkel and Dalton Randolph bearing down on him wasn't really in a position to give as much space as 47 may have needed there. As Braxton DeWeese comes around, he will get the free pass. And boy, oh boy, does he have work to do with only a dozen laps to go.
Yeah, but I think, you know what, Frank? If there's anybody in this field that can maneuver through traffic, it's got momentum on his side, it is Braxton DeWeese in that 8 machine. So it is a tall mountain to climb, but I do think he is very able to do so. As you can see, he's going to go down pit road again, probably get some more repairs done or some adjustments done on that machine. But a couple guys I've been really impressed with is Mike Peters and Michael Matta. Again, on that little bit of an alternative strategy. They've hung well up here in the top 3.
Absolutely have. Devin Ray, Adam Lowe not starting this race here tonight. Anthony Monroe in the 82, done after 10 laps. Charles Evans, done after 51. Richard Suddeth made it 57 before his night was ended. Austin called it a night on lap 76. Mark Brown, lap 90. Andrew McKenzie is down pit road, not officially listed as a DNF. Running in 23rd, repairing that number 6. Justin Lewis, making it 105 laps before his night came to an end. So 6 DNFs, 2 did not starts of a 30-car field here for 125 laps at North Wilkesboro Speedway. I would say that's a pretty good night overall here for a series on iRacing.
Yeah, and again, shout out to this league being able to field such a robust field right this late into the season. Guys know by now. We just talked about how 10th place in points is 400 points behind the leader, and yet he's out here, he's competing for a win. That's what you want to see out of a nice, healthy league.
Speaking of that points leader, Maxwell Caldwell buried in the 9th position as we get set to go back to green flag racing yet again. 9 laps to go here at Wilkesboro. Peters immediately dumps to the inside, but it's Trevor Dalton around the high lane that's going to try to get the run, and will get the run, is around towards the back. That is the 92 in the grass.
And we still stay green for now. Have not spoken a word for Trevor Dalton in quite some time. He has now muscled his way up to second. They are 3 wide back deeper in the field. They're able to sort it out.
This is 17 of Accord. Watch him still drifting that car. Somehow gets it back.
Wow.
Michael Matta was the other car, by the way, that went sliding down the backstretch. We'll show you really quick what happened. There's the 2 of them off the racetrack. Coming back, this is out of turn 2. Trying to stay off of Merkel on the outside. Both of them stay straight. Boy, and Barrett Flo gets going back to speed again after a friendly bump from the 199 of Sorel. Caution out now. This will be the 21 of Tarrant Hill.
Definitely a eventful night for many of these drivers. But we did see a lot of beating and banging on this restart, and as you can see, it's going to come down between the 21, just self-spinning off the corner once again. Seen a lot of that out of some of these drivers tonight, and it's a tricky track combo, Frank. We've talked about it extensively. Very interested to see how NASCAR tackles this in real life at the All-Star race. With these cars that do tend to get snappy loose when under duress coming out of corners.
Now, it might be a 1987 dressing around this racetrack, but the pavement is current as compared to what iRacing scanned, as we see Chris Vanderplat's in the 10, who right now has your vote for the best throwback scheme in the chat, which means he will be $20 richer after this night is over. So a lot of the track characteristics that you're seeing right now might be what you see for the All-Star race coming up next season in NASCAR.
We also talked at the top of the show, Frank, how this track was super hot, right? The temperature of the racetrack itself. So that definitely playing into a factor, I believe, in tonight's handling issues. But one guy who has seemingly been unfazed by it all is the man carrying the Garza Law Firm 24 machine, and that would be Chris Myers. Lots of pressure on his shoulders to do well tonight. He's stepped up in a big way.
Absolutely, and tonight's race is sponsored by Garza Law Firm out of Knoxville, Tennessee, and the WJM Motorsports team. WJM Motorsports, a newly started iRacing team composed of a few select drivers by the names of Chris Myers, Roger Pierce, Ron Morris, and Cody Anderson, handpicked by owner Bill Mulfield, who also works daily as an investigator for Garza Law Firm. Bill has been working very hard networking and gaining as much knowledge about the iRacing community to put together his team and bring in sponsors to support their journey to the top levels of iRacing. So a huge shout out to Bill Mulfield for what he does for this team and supporting the SCL League, as many others, by sponsoring races. As we now will go into our first attempt at a green-white checkered finish here tonight from North Wilkesboro.
I believe if I'm reading this right, we're only going to do this one time. So drivers got to get their act together and get around this as gingerly and as aggressively as you can. Try to put that into words, Frank. Try to embody that as a driver in a car tonight, where we've seen it all. We're going to see a little bit more as the pace truck peels off.
Pace truck peeling off. Myers gets a great jump, gets out in front of Trevor Dalton. 2 laps to go here from Wilkesboro. Myers trying to get away as we enter turn 3.
Looking for his first win of the season. We talked about his back in 10th in points. Lots of pressure on his shoulders tonight. Coming out of 4, taking the white flag, barreling into 1. Frank, are you going to tell us a little bit about how this 24 machine took it to the field tonight?
Absolutely. Coming through 3 and 4 after another great restart from Chris Myers. Garza Law Firm to the sponsor for the race. Garza Law Firm to victory lane. Chris Myers takes his first win of the season here at Wilkesboro as a big wreck coming off of 4 behind them.
What a run by Chris Myers. So much pressure. We've talked about it at length tonight. Holding off a fast-charging Trevor Dalton and Mike Peters getting P3 tonight. Definitely good effort by those drivers, but the guy that stole the show was Myers in the 24.
98 of Dalton Randolph is trying to back that car up, inch it back to get across the line, because he took a huge hit on that final lap. As we'll try to take a look and see what happened. We'll get to the finishing results here in just a moment. As you can see, this gaggle of cars towards the back of this field. Tillman Hoyer right in it. Maxwell Caldwell there as well. Hoyer jumps up to the outside. Michael Accord gives the 98 a shot. That allows Grijalva through.
Whoa.
Barrett Flo catching a piece of it. A lot of guys ending up with damage after that, but it is Chris Myers who will head out of this race and into Martinsville next week with the race win, as we do have one driver in here that can chat with us at the moment. And what we will do is we will start with our, oh no, we got Chris Myers here with us. So Zach, you are with our race winner.
Chris, congratulations, carrying the banner of Garza Law Firm tonight. You get the win tonight at North Wilkesboro. What are you feeling after all that pressure from tonight, being able to come out here and deliver and get that first win?
Man, I've been waiting to get one of these Cup wins for a long time now, pretty much all season, and for it to come down to the one that my team and my sponsors are sponsoring for it to be broadcast is pretty cool. Bring it home for them.
Well, your strength tonight seemed to be in those restarts. As the night progressed and we tend to get more and more cautions, did you feel confident that your strategy was going to be the race-winning one? Was there any doubt tonight that maybe, hey, I'm not going to be fighting for the win? Or were you fairly confident that you were playing your cards right?
I was pretty confident. To be honest with you, I let the 8 get by me. Well, I didn't let him get by me. He got by me. And then I wanted to stay right behind him and try to learn from him because we ran some practice last night, and he was pretty quick, so I knew he was going to be a factor. I know Mike Peters is always a factor. The 30 car was fast tonight as well. So I kind of stuck behind him. Then we had the cautions, and then just so happened that we all pit at the same time, so we were kind of on the same deal, and I kind of figured what he was doing was going to be a winning strategy, being as he does it all the time. So I stuck with that, and then he ended up making a little mistake, and then somebody else made a mistake, and I took over the lead again, and here we are.
You definitely survived a wild one here at North Wilkesboro, but I wouldn't say survived. I say you thrived tonight. You were definitely one of the stronger cars out there. You put in the work. You practiced ahead of time at this tricky racetrack, and ultimately you get the biggest win of the year, right? You're carrying the team's logo. You're ultimately a winner tonight at North Wilkesboro. Is there any thank yous or sponsor shout outs? I'm sure there are coming off of a monumental win here at North Wilkesboro.
Oh, yeah, for sure. First off, I'd like to thank WJM Motorsports, Bill Mulfeld for all he does for us, all the guys over there. Also, Garza Law Firm, going into next season, we're going to be trying to get it going, trying to make it to the top here. Hopefully, y'all see that name all over the place. Also, Realtor Ray, Newman & Son, Land and Lawn, Sashimi Sport Fishing, the SCL League itself, and also, you guys at Racing Media for putting on the broadcast. Feels good to get this win, man. I like I said, I've been waiting a long time for it.
Well, that is your race winner, Chris Myers, carrying that Jeff Gordon throwback in the Garza Law Firm 24 machine, winning at North Wilkesboro. Enjoy this one, man. You've earned it tonight.
Appreciate it, guys.
Fitting for that paint scheme to be in victory lane here tonight. It may not have been that exact paint scheme, but Jeff Gordon was the last driver to win a competitive NASCAR Cup Series race here at North Wilkesboro. And for that car to come home in victory lane kind of keeps it to where that will remain the same as we bring in our second place finisher here tonight, Trevor Dalton. Trevor, you had quite an interesting race here tonight. You had to come up through the field a couple of times. How difficult was it to get through the field here at this short track?
Well, after missing the with that caution and everybody pitting, and I didn't realize that we were right there at the pit pit lane. So I missed the pit stop, and that's why I pitted late there. And I was a little scared coming up through the field. It worked out with all the cautions. You pick off a couple, and the caution would come out and get back to work. But it was scary. And then that big wreck right in front of me that I thought was going to take me out, but got on the brakes early enough. But it was interesting.
Tell us a little bit about the throwback paint scheme you have. It's I believe late '80s, early '90s Rusty Wallace paint scheme. What made you choose the Miller Genuine Draft machine here tonight?
Well, I'm an old dude, and Rusty Wallace was always my favorite guy, and that's I would have liked to been running the Kodiak scheme, but nobody has a Kodiak scheme for this, so the Miller's always been that's what I race every week, actually.
So what you're telling me is Rusty Wallace has finished second to Jeff Gordon on a short track again.
I'm sorry. I didn't think, I didn't think we were supposed to swear on the server, because Jeff Gordon's a swear word, right?
Very, very, very good answer, Trevor. Going into Martinsville next week, another short track, a little bit different from Wilkesboro here. What's your confidence level going into Martinsville?
I absolutely love Martinsville, and this is the first time I've ever ran this North Wilkesboro in this car, so I'm very happy with this finish, but I love Martinsville.
All right. Anyone else you want to thank before we let you go?
My wife for not making me cook dinner so I could race.
There you go, Trevor. You become one of my new favorite people, bud. Congratulations.
Thanks, guys. Great league's been a real pleasure to. Thanks for the league admins for putting this on. It's been a real pleasure, and I'll probably be a staple around here. Been really enjoying you guys.
Fantastic. Very happy to see you next week at Martinsville. As Zach, you are with the man who drove his own throwback scheme tonight, our third place finisher, Mike Peters.
Well, Mike, you did a great job navigating one of the more unique paint schemes of the night around the racetrack. Talk to us of what went into kind of fighting your way back through the field, getting all the way up to P3. Did you feel that, hey, I might have a shot at winning this thing?
So I got caught up in that incident earlier where the guys were out on lap tires, which is fine. I understand the strategy. Just when you have to check up for them, the front end loads up and the back end steps out. And anyway, I just rode around for a good bit, and I got really lucky with the timing because I knew the other guys hadn't pitted yet with that little cluster of cautions. My strategy is I'm like, I'm going to pit, and then I'll just slowly work my way through the field. It's just I happened to land one pit cycle early and get back up to where I was trying to run earlier. And, once I was up there, I was like, if we can get a long green flag run, because the last caution that came out after I got tired, I literally had 2 laps on those tires. So I was like, cool, I'm good. Chris Myers fast all night. I saw him coming. I was like, cool, if I can just get around the 2 guys that were in front of us, I'll be good. There were some concerns about the guy in the inside lane, and then Joseph was over there, which he's going to run you clean, so it was no concern with him. But anyway, I saw Chris coming. I got a little loose one time, and I always keep relative up so I can kind of see what's going on around me. And it was one of those things where I saw him come in. There was enough of a gap. I was like, I'm just going to go ahead and let him by because I just didn't want to deal with it on a restart. And it worked out. Trevor got one hell of a run on a restart. I wasn't expecting that coming at all. He shot around me on the outside, and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to let him go. No, it worked out really well. I was hoping to finish like top 5, top 3, somewhere in there. I knew I didn't really have anything for Chris. And he put a lot of work into practice and everything this week too. It's that worked out. Most of these races do absolutely not work out at all for me with any plan that I have, and then it just gets worse. But this one actually worked out halfway decently, and I didn't really luck into anything. It's one of those things where I was running about where I finished before I got caught up in the incident, and then was able to kind of cycle back. So it was worked out real well.
Well, you certainly had a great effort out here, Mike. We talked a little bit here on the broadcast about your unique paint scheme, but I'm going to let you talk to the viewers out there on YouTube just how much this paint scheme means to you. It's one of the more unique ones in the field, and it deserves to be talked about. So, Mike, why don't you tell all the folks watching what has gone behind the paint tonight?
So any of the guys that know me or have really gotten to know me, number one thing with me nowadays is like, if you're not having fun while you're doing it, what are you doing? This is a scheme. When I was a younger kid, I went from never doing motorsports to went to a couple autocrosses with the Texas A&M Sports Car Club, and I guess my motor just blew up, but who cares? So a year and a half later, I was campaigning in Formula Drift in an automatic El Camino. We had corporate backing with Flowmaster, Cooper tires, super cool. I was like 20 years old, no clue what I was doing. But somehow we finished 8th in the points in a Chevrolet El Camino in Formula Drift. And this wasn't like Pro 2 or anything. This was like Formula Drift. This was like the top tier drifting in the United States. We had a ton of fun with it. And I missed the memo on the throwback race. And me and a buddy were talking. And I was like, oh my God, I should totally throw back to the El Camino. And he didn't have time to do it. It's my buddy that normally does all my paints, Tony Mahoney. And anyway, I hit up my buddy Derek Gilray. I was like, hey, flat black with the stripe, a couple logos. It's super simple. You're going to laugh. And he threw it together. He was racing tonight. He ran the Cole Trickle Superflow car, and he does a lot of the paints in here. But yeah, we threw it together. The logo on the side, the one guard is a throwback to the Flowmaster, and that's the company I work for, and they also sponsor my Pro Truck. And that logo is probably the most hilarious one to me, just because it's like Flowmaster, the exhaust technology company, but we put One Guard, the mechanical failure inspection company, and it worked out really well. So it was one of those things where this is a throwback where it means something. It's got some really cool, funny old videos. It's a good hat tip back to drifting back in the day. It's just a lot of fun into this, and just the community with it too. It was like I had a good friend of mine for like 20 years that didn't have time to do it. And then another buddy stepped up that I met through iRacing, and he did it. And it was just fun. I know I had some of the guys from work watching, a bunch of my buddies that are local watching. This was a lot of fun. And I was laughing hysterically because like I forgot it was on there, and I got done. I was like, oh my God, my Formula Drift livery is going to be on the podium. And I'm pretty sure even in real life, this is the first throwback on a stock car to a drift car. I'm pretty sure.
Well, certainly a lot of background goes into that paint. You carried it well tonight, coming home third again, holding that podium. Strong effort tonight, Mike. You've mentioned some names. I am going to give you one more opportunity for thank you sponsors and shout outs.
No, I've got a ton of help. First off, thanks to SCL. We met these guys. Me and about probably 10 other guys came from another league that pulled the plug on it. They're super fun to race with. The community is really open here, which sometimes is kind of, can test your patience because they're very accommodating to new people. And sometimes you get caught up in some stuff, and that happens. But tonight was really good up front. There's a lot of really fast guys in this league, and thanks to SCL for putting it on. A lot of the guys in here too race at Houston Motorsports Park in Houston. It's the last asphalt track in Texas, Louisiana, Oklahoma, New Mexico, like all those states. Like it's the last asphalt track. And I've been able to bring over a lot of those guys that want to get people involved. And, iRacing is a great way to get involved in motorsports. But Raising Cane's Chicken Fingers has been supportive of my iRacing stuff, as well as my Pro Truck I race at Houston Motorsports Park. One Guard Inspections, Carry the Loads, a veterans agency. What they do is they take funding from you and me, and they give it to smaller entities that can't really pull in funding for veterans charities. It's just a really good charity. And then just all my buddies, Max Caldwell, Austin Hill, Todd Merkel, all the guys that were in the Discord. And all my friends watching. I can tell Brooks is on here. I think my wife is watching, although she totally makes fun of this, as she should. I know my dad watches. Just a lot of people. Just thanks to everybody that helps make this fun, and you guys for broadcasts. I know we kind of brought you guys in last minute, and y'all have killed it. I mean, y'all been great. So I mean, this is great. So just thanks to everybody that helps put these on, and most importantly, the guys that show up too. So we don't have 7 or 8 car count. That's so lame. I mean, we had almost 30 cars or something. I didn't look, but we had excellent car count, just like we always do here at SCL. And, we couldn't do that without the guys racing too. So thank them for coming out.
Definitely a great effort from you tonight, Mike. It takes a village to make a good league go, and I think you covered all the bases. But enjoy this one tonight, Mike. And that's your third place finisher, Mike Peters, in the 95 Racing Cane's Chevrolet.
And with that, that will pretty well do it for us here tonight, Zach. Is another fantastic race in the books here for SCL, and we've only got 3 more to go.
Been great, right? We've talked at length about how this league has a little bit of everything. They always have good fields, full fields of drivers coming out and giving it their all. And tonight, Frank, we saw a first-time winner tonight. Again, back 10th in points, 400 points behind the leader. It didn't matter. He was carrying the banner for the race sponsor, and he wanted to go out and win the thing. Certainly a great effort by Chris Myers, but a good effort by many of the drivers in the field tonight, putting on a great show.
And as for the top 3 in points, Maxwell Caldwell, Braxton DeWeese, and Joseph Grijalva, those guys finishing in 7th, 8th, and 11th. And looking at the point standings right now, I don't have it updated for you in SDK at the moment, but looking at the point standings here, it's a 90-point lead that Maxwell Caldwell now has over Braxton DeWeese. He's extended it a little bit. It was 84 coming into tonight, now 90 going into the final 3 races of the season at 3 difficult racetracks: Martinsville, New Hampshire, and in Atlanta to close out this season. It's going to be a wild end to the year.
Yeah, really excited. These guys are very disciplined at sort of tricky tracks, and I would venture to say, well, 2 out of the last 3 tend to be on the more difficult end of the spectrum. We'll put it that way. So tune in. If you're a first-time viewer tonight, you've picked a good league to find here on YouTube, because SCL does a great job of putting on a good show.
Absolutely. And from what it looks like, the 10 of Chris Vanderplatz is the winner of the best throwback car for the night. So congratulations to him. Vanderplatz came home in the actually, why don't I tell you as we go through the results here for tonight's race. Chris Myers takes home his first race win of the season. Trevor Dalton, Mike Peters, your top 3. Joshua Yarborough and Todd Merkel rounding out the top 5. Eric Schaus, Maxwell Caldwell, Joseph Grijalva, Tillman Hoyer, and Braxton DeWeese coming home in the top 10. Derek Gilray, Barrett Flo, Chris Vanderplatz, Dalton Randolph, and Bryce Cobler coming home in the top 15. Top 20 will go to Josh Tarrant Hill, Michael Accord, Michael Matta, Larry McKenzie, and James Mann, Justin Sorrell, Justin Lewis, Andrew McKenzie, Mark Brown, Austin Call, the top 25. Richard Suddeth, Charles Evans, Anthony Monroe, rounding out the drivers that did actually start this race tonight. Adam Lowe and Devin Ray did not start the event here tonight, and round out your 30 drivers here in this field. So a solid day here. Here on this Monday night. Again, only 3 more races to go here for this season. Coming up tomorrow, we do have a couple of races coming up for you. Let me take a look and see what we have. YouTube changed their stuff all up, and it has messed me up something serious. I believe we should have the Midday Racing League coming up tomorrow. We should also have Western States coming up tomorrow as well. And then on Sunday, we will be running our first showing of the SCL Truck Series. The Super Truck Series will be coming your way on Wednesday night, so be sure to look for that. And we will have one race on Thursday morning. It will be the Svenska E-Racing Ligan round number I believe 6 for the Cup Series that will be at Homestead-Miami Speedway. So we will have racing coming up this Thursday, Thanksgiving. So for my broadcast partner, Zach Woods, I am Frank Marchese. Thank you very much for making us a part of your night, and we will see you all next week. Good night, everybody.